I like YouTube recommendations, especially when YouTube recommends me a video from like fucking 16 years ago with only 15 views. I like obscure videos made by regular everyday people. It is much more preferable than YouTube shoveling shit like Mr. Beast down my throat or any of their other golden geese. Anyway, I had this video pop up in my feed a few days ago. Now granted, it's not an obscure video, it has over 200k views, but anyway. It's called 100 Days Delivered, My Journey from Lust, and I was wondering what this video was all about. I already had an idea off the bat. I figured it was about getting over a pornography addiction, which is something I can relate to. I borderline had one up until a few years ago. And I watched the video thinking I was going to relate to it, and I still do on some level, but it was mostly a preach fest about how lust is a sin, we cannot commit sexual immorality, meaning watching porn and masturbating, because that goes against God. And all of that doesn't really do much for me because I'm an agnostic. But I can't really go too hard on the person in the video because they did reveal in the video that they're a sexual abuse survivor, so likely they're using religion to cope with their trauma. And plus, I don't want this video to be a direct response to that video where I'm dismantling every point they make in the video. I just want to talk about the central theme of the video because it's been something that's annoyed me for a long time at this point. Lust being something we have to inherently feel shame over. Lust, in a vacuum, I don't think is a problematic human emotion. It is the way we can engage with lust that can be problematic. Take me throughout my teen years, for example. I was watching porn frequently on pretty much a daily basis, and also pleasing myself on pretty much a daily basis. Now, that's not to say I was watching porn and fapping like 10 times a day or something crazy like that, but my consumption of pornography was frequent enough to the point where it would warp how I would view some women in my day-to-day life. Like some girls I befriended when I was still in high school, there would be instances where I'd be talking to them, and rather than actually pay attention to what they were saying, I'd be fixated on certain physical attributes of theirs, I'll just leave it at that. And then I'd feel dirty and feel shame afterwards because I knew they didn't think of me as anything more than a friend, and in the case of some of them, they already had boyfriends of their own. And I was even friends with some of these boyfriends, which is how I even befriended some of these girls in the first place. And you might say, well, that's on you for being a creepy, weirdo teenager. You can't entirely blame the porn for you being like that back then. And you're absolutely right. I figured out at age 19 that frequent porn consumption is not healthy for me at all, and I, for the most part, cut it out of my life. That's not to say I don't indulge myself every once in a while to get it out of my system, but that's really about it. And I've also done deep introspection that has allowed me to stop viewing other people as merely sex objects, but anyway. Even after all of this, you're never going to see me preach about how lust is a sin, you need to stop watching porn immediately, you need to stop masturbating immediately, because I don't view any of these things as inherently immoral because humanity is not a monolith. I'm sure there are plenty of other people out there who maybe watch porn like once a day, and then for the rest of the day they're completely fine because they got it out of their system. I am able to recognize what is unhealthy for myself, and I am in no place to dictate what is unhealthy or healthy for other people. And I'm just tired of this demonization of sex in general. It is literally the act that has brought us all into this planet. Sex is a pleasurable act because we all have an instinctual need to procreate. Now, obviously, humans at least can have the free will to choose not to procreate, but even if you're having sex for the fun of it, you're still satiating that desire that is embedded into you. And that is why we feel sexual desire for other humans, and I think denying that having these sorts of feelings is normal is more unhealthy than just embracing that these sorts of feelings are simply a part of who we are, because that just leads to self-loathing over feelings that are perfectly natural because, again, we are hardwired to find other humans physically attractive. It is how you engage with these sorts of feelings that determine whether or not they are problematic for you specifically. If you reduce a person down to nothing more than their physique and don't value them for anything more than that, then yes, that is a problem. Or if your lust causes you to act out on those feelings towards someone who has never shown any sign of reciprocating those sorts of feelings back at you. It comes down to basic self-control and being able to identify how to healthily engage with feelings that are otherwise natural. One thing that is, I guess, special special about being a human is being able to have thoughts and emotions that other species of animal do not possess. That's why the relationships we have with each other aren't just simply finding a mate to reproduce with. But at the end of the day, we are still animals, and we like it when we see someone who we deem as physically attractive. That is still always going to be a part of us, regardless of whether or not it goes against your religious morals. And a little bit of lust really isn't that bad, so long as you can value a person for who they are beyond just their physical appearance. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.